welcome back after a nice long break. Welcome back to the MoCo Millennial, to the first episode of 2018. This year in 2018, we're going to have the big Democratic primary for Montgomery County Council and Executive and all kinds of other seats that are open. It's a big year for that, and here we're back with one more of the, I think, 38 or 39 council at-large candidates, and he has a very interesting story, Ashwani Jain. First of all, you're younger than me. That's impressive. Not just because you're young and you're out there and doing things, but it's also representative of the really great diversity we have in this race. We have so many different candidates within the Democratic Party, and I think there might be like one Republican somewhere out there, from all different backgrounds, of all different ages, from all different sectors, and with all different ideas into what to really make the change that people who voted for term limits or maybe not were anticipating. So, Ashwani, why don't we talk a little bit about yourself and your background and where you grew up and what kind of led you to go into politics?
Yeah, well, I first just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity, and also just for creating a very safe space for people to engage themselves in our politics. As you mentioned, there's a lot of candidates, there's a lot going on, and I think what you're doing with this interview and just interviewing in general is providing that kind of opportunity for candidates, but also for the voters to see who was running to represent them. So I really appreciate this opportunity. So a little bit about me. I am a first-generation American. I am a native of Montgomery County. I'm the son of small business owners. I'm a very proud product of Montgomery County Public Schools. And I was also working for President Obama for the last 10 years on his 2008 and 2012 campaigns, in his White House, at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and also in Vice President Biden's office. And I am running because 15 years ago, when I was 13, I was diagnosed and treated for cancer, specifically non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And needless to say, going through that experience, I had to grow up fast because it was scary. It was terrifying. And I remember sitting in the children's hospital not knowing if I'm going to live to see tomorrow. And I also found that people stopped talking with me as a person, and they kept talking about me, like I was just a number. So I felt powerless, but I also felt determined to make sure that no one else felt as powerless as I was feeling. You know, and I wanted to make a difference I could feel. And so I got involved with organizations like the Make-A-Wish Foundation, the American Cancer Society, and then eventually with President Obama. And unfortunately today, as we all know too well, with the federal government rejecting the values that all of us care so much about, so many in our communities are again feeling powerless, right? They feel as if their government is talking about them instead of with them. And I think that's why we need strong local leaders, not just in Montgomery County, but all around the country, who will run for office and fight for those progressive values. And for me, Montgomery County means the world. It means everything to me. This is where I was born and raised. This is where my parents immigrated to start our family and to start our family business. Personally, I've lived in 4 of the 5 council districts on the east of the county, west of the county, up county, and down county. And I've never left Montgomery County because it's home to my American dream. And I'm running to make sure that every single person who calls Montgomery County home gets the same shot at the American dream and the same equal access to opportunities that my family and I have been so blessed to have.
Wow, now you bring up a very good parallel. I mean, we'll get into a bit more about your experience as a cancer survivor and what you did with Biden and with the Obama administration, but I really like what you say about feeling like you're talked about, feeling like you're some kind of, I wouldn't go so far as saying political football or something like that, but you're kind of something to be dealt with. You're something that other people have to try to find a solution for, and I guess you're kind of there hoping for the best. And you, as a young person, as a child of immigrants, and with someone who will bring a fresh set of views, I mean, it's really great to see how you've just kind of taken charge and shown that yes, you do have that kind of agency and don't have to just wait and see what other people in government have in store for you. I mean, that's really a lot of what this resistance movement is about. Now, so yeah, you grew up here in Montgomery County. You say you lived in most of the council districts. Have you always been interested, since your political life, interested in local issues, or did that shift since your work in the Obama administration?
I think, again, growing up in Montgomery County, which is already a very engaged area, and local issues affect everyone on a day-to-day basis, I think I've always been passionate about politics in general and about local issues, state issues, and federal issues. But more importantly, my entire mission in life has been, how do you engage and empower more people into the political process? Because in my opinion, when more people are engaged and empowered and felt like they're being heard and talked with instead of about, that's how you can make government more representative, more responsive, more inclusive, more accountable, more transparent. And so for me, as a first-generation American, I was never political growing up, but my parents instilled in me the value of public service and giving back to a community that has given us so much. And so through that, I happened to get involved first and foremost in the Obama campaigns and in the Obama White House. And by working in the administration, we were building partnerships and building coalitions, not just at the federal level, but working with our state delegation and also working with our local leaders to make sure, whether you're talking about potholes on roads or whether you're talking about getting people access to affordable housing and affordable healthcare, at all levels, we need to engage people in the process. And so now, as a candidate for the county council at large, I'm honored that I have an opportunity to speak more about the issues that I'm passionate about and that I know a lot of other people are as well.
Yeah. It does seem like you would follow through and be certainly provide some improvement with the responsiveness. For every event that I've seen you at, you seem to be very genuine and enthusiastic about interacting with anyone who comes up and has a question for you. Now, have you experienced, you don't have to throw any particular people under the bus, but what sense have you gotten about voters in Montgomery County about responsiveness of elected officials? Do you think this next round of candidates will improve upon that?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a change election. The fact that we have term limits, the fact that for every office we have 5 to 45 candidates running, I think that's a great thing because it makes sure that people are really being heard and listened to and understand the value of local government. But again, we are very blessed in this county to have great representatives. The only issue is we need more representatives, more people to be included in the process, more people to feel like they are being heard and listened to, and they can see themselves reflected in our local government. From all parts of the county, from all different types of ethnic background, just feel like they really have a say in how these decisions are being made. And so naturally, when you have a lot of candidates running, you're able to get more people to understand what the issues are and how their vote actually matters.
Yeah, one potential downside I see, however, is just to, it seems like we really need some kind of system of ranked choice voting of some kind, because we have so many candidates that, one can beat out another by just a couple dozen votes even. I have no idea how many people are out in the primary. Hopefully the changeover will bring more to come out, than bring more young people especially. But it's, I guess, a potential downside could be that such a minority of voters could potentially pick one of the 4 winners. Someone wins by, they get 12% of the vote and they're already in. But I don't know, maybe that makes it interesting. We'll have to see. Especially with the choice of 4, I'd have to do some math. How do you strategically vote to make sure that your number 1 gets in, but you also sort of like these. It's going to be an interesting process, I think.
Absolutely. And I think that also it puts an added pressure or focus on the candidates to make sure that they really are building a grassroots campaign with a bunch of volunteers and a bunch of focus on data and actually getting all around your jurisdiction. So from my standpoint, from a county council at large standpoint, I've been very mindful from day one of actually putting together the best team possible with the most number of volunteers and actually going to every part of Montgomery County so I can truly represent them at large.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the point of the at-large council member. We'll have to see how that goes. Now, shifting gears a little bit back to your background, you said your family wasn't necessarily political, but rightly so, fostered your engagement in service. Has your family always been supportive of you going into politics? I mean, I'm not saying, were they particularly against it, but what was your family's reaction to the evolution of your decision to go this direction?
Yeah, I would say I've been very blessed to have an amazing support system of not only my family but also my close friends. And I think it, again, stems from my family's background. You know, when my family immigrated to this country from India, my grandfather was a high school janitor. You know, to help pay for classes at a community college, my mother worked at a nursing home where she made the minimum wage of $3.25 an hour.
Wow.
And after my parents got married, and they were in Montgomery County, my mother became a contractor for the EPA, while my father struggled to start his own business in an outdoor flea market right here in Montgomery County. And so I think having those life experiences, they always instilled into me that this country is a land of opportunity, but to be thankful because not everyone has that same access to opportunity. And so anything that I can do in my own way to engage more people in whatever I'm doing, that is the way I need to do it. You know, from the business background, they've always taught me that the customer is first, and we need to focus on customer service. So then when I started volunteering with the Obama campaign back in 2007, you know, it was different because they'd never worked for a campaign before. But I showed them that I felt empowered. I felt like I'm actually being heard, being listened to, and I can impact change from a policy level. And I can do that by electing great candidates who actually look like me, who represent my ideas. And so right away they said, that's fantastic. And just like our business, we're focused on, you know, grassroots customer engagement. In the Obama campaign, they saw the same type of empowerment. They said the same thing where, yeah, we're actually building neighborhood teams and talking to people about what do they care about and listening to them and then elevating their voices in my case, the political process. And so the fact that I was able to keep growing and expand and get more job opportunities in the political process, they've been very proud. You know, from my dad, I have always learned the value of hard work. From my mom, I've always learned about how do you be resilient even in the face of challenges. And my sister, my younger sister, she's my best friend, and she's always been supporting me. Anytime I have doubts, she tells me, you know, just keep at it because your work is helping people. You know, at the end of the day, if you can always remember that and remember that, look at the lives that you are touching through your work, then every day becomes a lot easier. So again, I've been very blessed to have their support, and I'm thankful that they're on the journey with me.
Yeah, we're thankful that they encouraged you, and now that you're here and that you're running. And there's a reason why I ask this, and I think it really points back to their focus on service, because I know a lot of people who are recent immigrants. Some of my best friends, they came as refugees, actually, from their country. And there's kind of a split. I mean, some people that I know that came from other countries, they're very heavily involved, especially now. But then there are some people that have been afraid that more like, okay, we still, and talking about the more recent immigrants, we still feel like we're trying to assimilate in this country, and we're hesitant to criticize the establishment.
Sure.
And if being political happens to go against a party that's in power, then they're kind of afraid that they're kind of biting the hand that feeds them. Yeah. I've gotten that sentiment from some of my friends, and for that reason, we tend to avoid politics, although now it's getting less and less so. Have you ever found that among some people that you know?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think that fear is always there, right? Because you're new to the country, you're new to society. You don't want to be too disruptive because you're just trying to assimilate. You're trying to make sure that you feel like you're part of the community. But you know, and I have members of my family that you know, believe that yes, I should just, you know, kind of stay quiet, go with the flow. But again, like I said, my parents and my sister have always been pushing me to fight up and fight for the values that we care about. And when we see those values are not being fought for at any level, it is our responsibility, it is our duty as Americans to stand up. One related example I can give is, you know, after my chemotherapy treatments were done, right? So back when I was 13 years old, my family didn't really want me to talk too much about my cancer story, right? Because it was very emotional for them. They felt very depressed about it. I felt very sad about it. But then I started volunteering with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And the Make-A-Wish Foundation of the Mid-Atlantic specifically, I was able to meet other kids and families who were going through the same struggles that my family and I were going through, specifically here in Montgomery County. So in our home turf, actually meeting with them. And when I started sharing my story with these kids, with these parents who are seeing their kids go through these issues, after I shared my story and my parents could see how hopeful this new family became, and how the kid all of a sudden who is bald looks at me and says, "Oh, your hair grew back." When they can see that, and then when their parents can say, "Oh yeah, you look healthy, like you're absolutely fine," and we're able to show them that yes, we made it through this difficult time. When my parents saw that and saw the kind of hope that just by talking about these issues can bring, that's when they went full in saying, okay, you need to keep replicating this to as many people as possible, whether it's through organizations like Make-A-Wish, or whether it's through political organizations like the Obama campaign, or whether now even running for office. Sharing your story, getting more people who might feel scared, who might feel like they're struggling and they don't have someone to listen to them, elevating their voices and being, standing up saying, hey, I hear you, I see you, I feel you, I went through the same struggles, and I'm going to support you in this type of way.
No, was there anything that surprised you when you met other people that were struggling maybe with other more severe or maybe less severe forms of cancer? Did you find a commonality in a sense of hope, or did you find that some people had perhaps different obstacles, or I don't know, was there a variation in how much of a positive outlook that you could instill in some people? Were some people harder to reach than others?
Absolutely, right? Everyone, and everyone listening, everyone goes through their own unique struggles. It doesn't always have to be a health concern or health scare. Everyone goes through unique problems, and everyone handles those situations in different ways. And I don't fault anyone for how they go through their own situations. All I can do is, from my end, be as positive and optimistic as possible, and hopefully serve as an inspiration to those people to look at, saying, hey, if he can go through this, I can go through it as well. One specific example I can give of a family who went through more unique struggles than I went through is a couple months ago, through my volunteer work with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, I met with a family in Burtonsville. And it was a 5-year-old girl who was going through a type of brain cancer. So obviously she was a lot younger than I was, and she had a harsher condition. And her parents were actually undocumented immigrants. So not only do they have this language barrier that they're facing that I did not have to face, but they also did not have a lot of family support. And they also didn't have the same resources or access to healthcare that I was blessed to have and that my parents were blessed to have. So automatically there is that difference in experience. But through my volunteer work, I was able to talk about our shared experience, which was I still went through a health issue. My parents were still worried about losing their son to cancer. And through that, I can help you grant a wish. And her wish was to actually meet the WWE wrestler John Cena. And so I was actually able to facilitate that. She got to meet him, and the whole family got to meet him. And just like I had my experience with my Make-A-Wish, I got to see this family and this kid have a sense of hope and have a sense like, anything is possible. So even though we had different experiences, different types of cancers, different healthcare experiences, different immigration statuses, we did have that commonality. And through that commonality, they were able to kind of break out of their shell and are now, starting to give back to Make-A-Wish in their way to kind of help other families who might be going through something similar.
Well, that's great that it perpetuates this kind of pay it forward. What other wishes did you come across?
So my own wish was to meet actually Denzel Washington.
Oh, no way!
Yeah, he's an amazing actor, amazing person. And this was 2005 when I actually got my wish granted. He was doing a Broadway show in New York. So they Make-A-Wish had me, my mom, my dad, and my sister. They took us on a limo ride to go to New York, where we got to see the city, we got to see the show front row, and then we got to go backstage and chat with Denzel Washington for about 20 minutes. And he was just the nicest person. And again, that was the first time in a series of months and years leading up to it where I saw that I was able to provide some sort of joy to my family. Right? It wasn't just me bringing them sadness, it was me bringing them joy and hope. And so that was a great experience. But I've granted wishes of children who want to have a shopping spree, or who want to be a princess, or want to have a room makeover, or who want to meet other celebrities.
How do you make them a princess?
So essentially, you get a bunch of their family, a bunch of the Make-A-Wish volunteers. You decorate the whole house as a castle. You dress them up as a princess.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And you have a little ceremony, and it kind of individualized based on what the kid wants and what the family wants. But just making that kid feel completely special and feel like, you know what, this is your day, this is your moment. You can do whatever you want. You can be whoever you want to be, and just kind of changes the atmosphere a little bit. And the idea is you enrich their lives and you enrich their medical experience because they now have this new sense of hope and gratitude and inspiration.
That's so, it's both emotional and creative.
Yeah.
I wouldn't perceive it as fun because so much of the emotion that goes involved with, especially thinking about the prospects, but it's such a creative endeavor.
Yeah.
It's really cool that you get that experience. Now, just the reason why I was asking before is, as you had said, your family kind of didn't want to talk too much about your experience with cancer, and I mean, did you encounter that really, that some people just didn't really want to talk about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely encountered many people, either the children who are going through these treatments or their families, where they don't want to talk about it, they don't want to open up too much because it's just opening up wounds and scars that they have from these issues. And that's completely their prerogative. They have the right to do that, and everyone, again, heals in different ways. But for me, I still am very positive and optimistic, and what I do in those situations is I talk about my experience. If they're a little reluctant to share their experience, I share my experience. And then I would say maybe 80% of the time, after I talk through my experience, they're able to relate, saying, oh yeah, I went through the same thing. And then they open up a little more, and then by the end of the conversation, 80% of the time we end up talking a little bit more, and they open up, and then they feel like they're able to kind of resolve some of the issues they're going through in some way.
Yeah, and now kind of from a policy angle, has this shaped at all your policies directly? I mean, it may apply to multiple things, either to what you were working on in the Obama administration or maybe what you're focused on here. I mean, it could be at an abstract level.
Sure.
Have you overcome obstacles, or on a policy level, how is it influenced?
Absolutely. It definitely has an impact on the policy level in all aspects of my life, and even as a candidate and as a hopeful council member, because it allowed that experience, and those experiences allow me to be more empathetic. It leads me to be more understanding of there's no cookie cutter approach to anything, and you have to actually listen to people because everyone comes at it from different backgrounds, different experiences. It helps me understand the need to really engage and empower folks in the campaign process, in the policy making aspect of it, from a campaign perspective, however you want to call it. Because when you really engage and empower more people and make them feel comfortable and make them feel like they are being listened and heard, then through that you're able to make better policies and a more accountable, transparent, inclusive government. And then it also makes me just feel more thankful. You know, I have been given a second chance at life, and I'm very thankful for that. And from a political standpoint, it makes me even more thankful that I had the opportunity to run for office or to talk to people, to have this type of interview where I get to just share my passion and talk about the issues that people care about. Because not a lot of other places in the world have that type of opportunity. So, it is a blessing that I do not take for granted, and I would definitely take that type of mentality with me if I'm fortunate enough to be elected on the county council.
Absolutely. What a great example of having a second chance of life and really running with it. And also the focus on really listening to potential constituents and listening to potential voters and opponents and having this optimism. I mean, in a field of 38, 39, 40, there's got to be some ways to really stand out.
Yeah.
So the people that, you have events, other people have events. I've gone to several, and sometimes you can just pay like $10. Some things are a little more expensive. I can't really go to those. And happy hours are usually free to a certain extent. But as people meet so many different candidates, and in some cases can't really keep track of who's running for what, who are they going to remember? The people that remember them, the people that actually listen. So we're going to take a quick break, and in the next segment we're going to talk about something that may, on a policy level, set you apart from others. We're going to talk about your family's background in business and what you hope to do for the business community here in Montgomery County.